So we talked previously about the InfoWars host who was responding to the man who went to the FBI office armed, ended up getting shot dead by the FBI in a back and forth gunfire. But now knowing that he was someone at the January 6th riots makes it pretty clear that he was probably motivated by all of the demonization of the FBI that has gone on in response to the raid of Mar-A-Lago. And Charlie Kirk is sharing a similar sentiment as the InfoWars conspiracy theorist host shared, which is the FBI is just playing victim. Oh, they're just playing victim. And you shouldn't really care about all of these violent threats against them, which of course are absurd, especially in response to something like the raid of Trump's home. So here's Charlie Kirk sharing a very similar sentiment as the one we went over with this InfoWars conspiracy theorist, saying that the FBI is just trying to play victim, and also maybe some of those violent threats are planted by the FBI, which is just so many conspiracies come out of these people's mouths these days. It's crazy.
There's a little bit of a trepidation that the Mockingbird media doesn't really know what to make of this. They're not really sure how to cover it. There is a single angle, though, they're going to be continually using, which is denouncing threats to law enforcement, as if that's really what's going on here. Director of the FBI had strong words Wednesday for supporters of former President Donald Trump who have been using violent rhetoric in the wake of his agency's search for Trump's Mar-A-Lago home. He says that threats against federal agents and the Justice Department are deplorable and dangerous. Remember how many of those threats are planted by the FBI themselves?
Evidence, please? Evidence, question mark? Okay, so the violent threats aren't real. They're planted by the FBI. Where is that coming from? What are we talking about? But no, if it's in the form of a question, then you can say any conspiracy theory that you want. I wonder how many of those threats are planted by the FBI. Oh, I was just asking questions. Gosh.
We have said the entire time, remain peaceful. We do not put up with violent acts. Now, there's a new report that shows someone is attacking the FBI building in Cincinnati. Interstate 171 North is shut down after suspect drove towards Waynesville, Ohio. Unconfirmed reports say he is now firing at police from a cornfield. Now, I'm sure this will now be the main focus, even though we have said repeatedly to remain peaceful and stay focused on constructive things that we can do. They're now going to try to play the victim after they occupied Donald Trump's home, a military occupation.
So I want y'all to understand something, and I know y'all get this already, but it's really crazy to me because you watch a clip like that and you're like, oh my gosh, he is speaking legit nonsense. He's saying a military occupation, like how people or how countries, militaries occupy other countries in wartime or when they invade. A military occupation. They went to a judge, they went through our process to get a warrant, and then they did a raid, which raids are done by the FBI on many, many people. What are you talking about? A military occupation. But the thing that I want to make very clear whenever you're watching these, because sometimes it even gets me, someone saying something so confidently almost makes you think maybe there's some explanation to what they're saying and they're not just completely pulling it out of the booty. But no. It's as logical as him just saying, ladies and gentlemen, the sky is red. I guess it could be red during a sunset, but the grass is purple. And they don't want you to know that the grass is purple because it will break down their entire operation. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the grass is purple. Just the confidence in his voice makes you think that he can't just be saying that for no reason at all. But he is saying it for no reason at all. He's saying the FBI is trying to play a victim, which they shouldn't be allowed to do because they did a military occupation of Trump's home. You're speaking nonsense, Charlie Kirk. That is just absolute insanity. And it's honestly embarrassing that you would feel comfortable saying that to so many people and misleading so many people. No, it is a huge concern right now that the FBI is getting violently threatened by all of these people who support Trump and think that the raid was this horrible thing, even though, as I mentioned, they went through the correct processes. Again, raids are done. And when people say, if this can be done on Trump, it can be done on any of you. Yeah, that's always the case all the time. It's actually more likely it would be done on a regular American than on Trump, the billionaire former president. So the fact that they're doing it on a former president shows that they're actually maybe going to try to make the justice system a little bit more just, a little bit more equal in who they enforce the law on, because they're even going after someone as prominent as a former president, which is rarely done, but also rarely do presidents do as many wrongful actions and possibly criminal actions as Donald Trump. So that matches up. But yeah, just absolute wild stuff by Charlie Kirk. Every time I see him, he's gone more into conspiracy world, more crazy, more loony. And I guess that's what sells. And that's why so many of these conservative talking heads have become even more conspiracy theorists than they were before.